Hello guys, welcome to this channel, and in today's series we are going to be doing a walkthrough on how to use the Jupyter Notebook. Now this video assumes you have installed the Jupyter Notebook, and to install the Jupyter Notebook on your local machine you have to go to the Anaconda site. So this is it. I'll drop the link in the description. You can see over here that this is the download landing page. You can choose to provide your email, it's an option, or you could choose to skip the registration and you will get access to the download link. This download link will work for your operating system. It will automatically detect your operating system, and so you could just click on this and download. Optionally, you can choose one of these links. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to get that started. So for me, I'm using a MacBook, but it's pretty much the same thing if you're working with a Windows operating system. There's almost always an application icon, and so I go straight over to my launch pad over here and I will see an Anaconda navigator. Same thing if you're using a Windows operating system. You can basically launch to where your applications are and you'll definitely see an icon that looks like this. Now if I click on this, I am going to see something that looks exactly like this. This is going to pop up. You give it some time, it will come up. Now with this you would make use of the Jupyter Notebook launch button over here. Now if I click on this, a lot of things are going to happen. You're going to see something come up like this. Then it's going to search for your default browser, and it's going to open up your directory, your operating system's directory. So for those using MacBooks, regardless of the version you're using, something like this is going to come up on your screen. So for those trying to use it, I always advise that you create a folder that you work with. So for instance, I'm going to go over to my file explorer area. I like my document area, so I'll just go over there and I'll create a folder. Now I'm going to create a folder and I'll call it data science. And now the interesting thing about creating this folder is when you go over to the Jupyter Notebook with your directory open, you can go over to the documents and you see that the folder is there. Now with this, I can open this folder here and I can get started with my Jupyter Notebook. And this is where I get led in, because obviously I want to learn data science and I want to use Python to learn data science. Now I go over here and I click this link. It says new. I click the notebook and it opens a new notebook. So I accept I accept the Python kernel. Sometimes it might depend. You might be in a version that wouldn't ask you if you have a Python kernel. You want to accept it, automatically leads you there, or you just typically see in the new area here, you would see a Python kernel indicated here. So you just click on that. You see an IPython kernel indicated. You click on that and you'll be good. And so here we have our Jupyter Notebook open. Now, one of the best things to do, or one of the best practices, is to name the notebook. So I'll start off with introduction to Python. So let's say that's what I want to start out with. Then I save, so it's already here. Now the interesting thing is everything you do in the Jupyter Notebook here, the file saves in the directory that we looked at earlier on. You can see this. Now we have this inside of it. Pretty simple, right? And it's simple and intuitive. So here we have the Jupyter Notebook. Now I'm just going to show you a bit of walkthrough, right? How the Jupyter Notebook looks and how it works. Now, first off, here we'll see the menu. And so here we have file. So we have the file here. You can create a new notebook. You can also choose to open a terminal or create a normal file or a markdown file or a Python file. You can do a lot of stuff here. You can choose to save the notebook. You can save the notebook if you want to change the name of the notebook, or yes, you want it, or possibly even change the directory you want to save it. You want to rename it. You want to reload from disk, or you want to download it. You want to save and export to different file types. You want to trust the notebook. You want to shut it down. So yes. Now this typically shuts down just the notebook itself, right? This logs you out, and this shuts down the whole, kernel itself. So you typically want to use close and shut down notebook. Now we have the edit part of it. With the edit, it has a bunch of activities you do. Typically, you could undo. If you've done something, you can redo what you've done. You can undo a cell operation. You just check them out. They're all intuitive ways to use your Jupyter Notebook. Here you get to do a lot of things. You can toggle. There's a Zen mode that when you click on it, it tries to create this mode for you. There is also there, and you can click on escape and you get out of there. There's also you see a bunch of things here. Again, they are all intuitive ways for you to walk around it. This is what you normally use to run cells, right? For instance, you could do a bunch of things. So first thing I want to do so that you get used to it is when you start out with your Jupyter Notebook, you typically want to give it a header because you're working on stuff. So let's say you're learning stuff like simple variables and data types. Now you can go over to this drop down here and see it's written code. So by default, you can write your Python code here, but you can drop down and go to Markdown. Now with the Markdown, it gives you the ability to put up like some documentation. And with documentations, you can make them bold. So you can use the hash button. One hash button makes it big. So I can say simple variables. See that? So if I click run, you see I have this big one. If I come to the next cell and I go over here to do a markdown and I use 2 hash signs and I say data types, you would notice that it gets smaller. So you can see it gets smaller. If I come over here and again I do the drop down here and I use 1, 2, 3 and I say Boolean and I run this, and you see it gets smaller. So you see how you use that. And of course, by default, it's always in the code part of it. So you can always write your code here. Here you can simply just use the print function, and it says welcome to my channel. And with that, it prints it. And you can also, I can also print subscribe to my channel. And you see, so that's it. So this is typically a simple walkthrough for how you want to make use of stuff. The other things like the kernel here, say for instance you have worked on your kernel and you typically want to restart your kernel, you can click on this, and then Python is a memory-based language, so it stores variables and objects that you've stored in your variable in memory, so you can just release everything by restarting, and so everything starts up all over again. You can see the kernel just kind of reboots and gets started. There are settings here. You can change your theme. I like the dark theme. If you can make it a white theme, you can see that. I can still just go back and change it to the dark theme, right? there are a bunch of things you want to do. You can change. There's just language here, but in some situations you might have additional language. You could want to change your text editor. You want to increase your fonts. You want to look at your terminal theme. You want to do a bunch of stuff. There's about Jupyter notebooks. You can launch a Jupyter notebook file browser. There's a documentation part. When you click on it, it just takes you to where you could read about the Jupyter notebook documentation, and which is also cool for you to check out. Makes a lot of sense too. So yeah, so that's typically it. Right, so please take your time and watch this video and get used to using the Jupyter notebook, because this is going to be the start of your data science journey.